everybody, welcome to the Seasoned Butcher. We're glad you're here. Today we're actually going to make 75 pounds of ring bologna. It is the 4th of July weekend. We love the 4th of July. Charlie and I put into motion plans to make meat 2 mornings in a row. Today's Friday of the long weekend. So we're going to hit it hard on the ring bologna side of things. Tomorrow we're going to make skinless wieners. We're also going to spend a bunch of time this weekend working on shooting our bows, equipment. We're hanging out. We're not going anywhere traveling. We're going to stay home and we're getting our work done. We're really excited about some of the bucks we've taken inventory of. But more importantly, we're excited about a bunch of new equipment that we're testing, trying it ahead of time, making sure those bows are sighted in, and just hanging out with some of our family members. So as we're doing that, we're also going to be smoking this ring bologna. We're going to be finishing everything you're seeing laid out here. Now, why do we do all this? Why do we live field to table? Because it is who we are. So one of the things we needed to do the last couple weeks while we were working on, getting excited about fall was dig into our freezers, take inventory of everything that we had left. One of the things we don't like to see is meat get freezer burnt, right? And so we know that we spend all this time getting jacked up about this fall, which is literally only 9 weeks away. Starting today, we've got just 1 day less than 9 weeks, and we're headed to North Dakota. But more importantly is getting those freezers filled with quality meats that our family's going to enjoy. So we started weighing meat. We started taking inventory of the pork butts we had. We found out we needed to go purchase some more. We started weighing all the venison and plotting and strategizing. What can we do? And we suggest all of you do that same thing. But in order to do that, you got to be prepared. Just like we put all this time into our field prep for the hunting side, how much prep do you honestly do to get ready for the freezer side, the table side? Have that grinder ready, that stuffer, maybe make a couple of investments. Now, why would you do that? To beat this hyperinflation that's taking place. We're all struggling with the economy today and the sticker shock we see in the grocery store. Charlie and I, while we're making meat, the next 2 days, we're excited because we realize with what we're doing at the end of these 2 days of making meat, we're going to have 150 pounds total. Think about the hundreds, if not maybe going to crack that $1,000 bill that we're saving because we're doing this ourselves. We are literally doing it DIY, thus the t-shirt. That's our motto. Do it yourself, save money, have fun out there while you're doing your prep work, but also remember, take care of business here, right? And that's what the Seasoned Butcher is all about. Check us out. Go to www.theseasonedbutcher.com. We've got everything there you need. And don't forget to like and subscribe on our channel here so you can kind of see the journey that we take and how we live from field to table. Okay, so we are at that meat prep step. And today with the ring bologna, we're doing 25-pound batches. Even though we're doing 75 pounds, there's still 3 separate 25-pound batches. So I want to break this down so it's really simple for you to follow these steps. You're going to have 17.5 pounds of venison is what we're using, and 7.5 pounds of pork. So that's your 70-30 meat ratio. Now, don't worry about stopping the video here. Keep going. If you go to theseasonedbutcher.com, and you use the filter and get into our bologna section, just click on one of them, one of the flavors, and you're going to see printable instructions. You're also going to see meat ratios. And if you're a quick read, you can just look at the Cliff Note version of the instructions to go ahead and follow each step. But there is printable instructions you can screenshot to your phone. Now, with that said, why do we use pork butts? We love the fat to meat ratio with pork butts. If you want your product to be consistent, the outcome, that is, consistent outcome, you've got to get away from just price shopping the sale pork options. And what I mean by that, sometimes people will run out and they'll get picnic trim or they'll get a pork shoulder. We've tried all of it. Trust me, we home butcher. We're in our basement. This is where we do this. Or they'll go and get, worse yet, they'll just go get fat trimmings. And what happens is, your meat to pork ratio gets way out of whack, and the end result is very disappointing. So if you're new at this, or you're kind of an intermediate, and you kind of want to take out the wiggle room or the guesswork, pork butts is what we recommend going with. Watch the sale prices. and you can find them under $2 a pound right now. That is possible if you keep watching your local stores for sale prices, even during these economic conditions. We're having a lot of fun today. All right, we are ready for the first grind. So the next step is to actually run this through for the first grind. We've got our Lem Big Bite here, and it eats meat like there's no tomorrow. So we're gonna start off with a 12.5 millimeter plate. That's a 1/2 inch plate for our first grind. That's gonna make a meatier product. We're not tearing down those fibers in the meat and creating mush. And you'll see as we go to the second grind why we do that. So we're going to start the process of grinding here. So we're going to be putting both the venison, to make this clear, both the venison and the pork through this 12.5 millimeter plate. Alright, now that we've got our first grind done, we are ready to start mixing our seasoning. With the flavor we've chose here, we're going with our Excalibur ring bologna flavor. All of these 25-pound packages of seasoning, or I should say 25-pound batch weights for 25 pounds of meat, come with 1 ounce of fast mix cure. You're going to see us mix this cure with a whisk into water. This particular recipe calls for 5 cups of water. So it's important. All the instructions are right here on the package. And again, you can find detailed instructions right where that product is listed, where you purchase it at the seasoned butcher. So for now, we're going to start mixing the cure in. Into our water. Simple stuff, shake it all out. It is important to get all the cure in there. Just gonna whisk this up quick. What I want to do is kind of whisk this, and this can start to dissolve while I go ahead and dump some of the seasoning in. We're going to do half at a time. We're going to put half the seasoning, half of the cure, and then we're gonna mix it up, and then we're gonna put the other half in. And the reason for this is we want to completely cover or get as much seasoning as we possibly can during the mixing process to mix in with the meat. And we do this between the 2 grinds because as we hand mix this and thoroughly mix it, more is better. It's not one of those scenarios where less is more. Thoroughly mix this because that's important to get all this seasoning throughout the meat, which is going to up your flavor, up your taste. So a lot of people make that mistake of trying to speed this process up. That is amazing flavor. You can see the particles in the air, and it is really robust. There's an outtake for you, Charles. Wow. We do love our seasonings at the Seasoned Butcher. Alright, so we're going to put half the water in. This is reality TV. That's about half the water. And we're going to start the mixing process. I'm going to go get my gloves on quick, and I'll be right back at you. This, no doubt, this stuff's got some flavor. Alright, during the mixing process, I basically like to knead it like bread. Roll it at you, push down. You're going to see your water sitting in the bottom of your tote, and you kind of want to suck that into the meat, and then you can actually see your venison and your pork, the difference in the color of the meats, and use the eye test during this process to mix it. You don't want a bunch of venison in one part of the tote separated from the pork. You want to thoroughly mix this up And the same with the seasoning. So by going multiple directions, pulling it in, twisting your hands, you can thoroughly mix this up, and the outcome is much better. Again, this is a process. Don't cheat this step. This is a big step right here. For those of you home butchering, don't worry about the fact you do not have a mixer. This is your mixer right here. Okay, we're going to put the rest of the seasoning in. I'm going to do a little more sneezing here. Can't help it. It's awesome flavor. Put the rest of the cure in. I'm going to throw this cup of water in here just to rinse out my stainless bowl to make sure I've got all the cure in with the meat here. And repeat the mixing process. Alright, now we're ready for our final grind, or second grind, whatever you want to call it. So we've finished mixing, thoroughly mixed everything, and one little tip I want to throw out is if you make little balls just a little bit bigger than a golf ball, as you drop them down the throat of your grinder, it'll grab that meat. You don't want to just keep filling that throat full and have it lock up. So this will also help mix the seasonings. And that's the reason why we mix our seasonings in between the two grinds. Real quick, on the final grind here, we've put in an 1/8 inch plate. So you're going to notice, we'll take a side shot here, but you're going to notice it's the smallest diameter plate that we like to use. And we're excited about this because normally we run a 4.5 millimeter, which is a 3/16 plate. We're going to go with the 1/8 today, and tomorrow with our skinless wieners. So we're going to get after it. Alright everybody, we are to the stuffing portion of our video here. What we're going to do is we're going to take everything that we've done so far and we're going to put it into collagen casings. These are 40 millimeter, you can find them on our site. They're easy to handle, easy to work with. And then what we've done is we've taken one batch at a time, our 25-pound batches, and we've put them in our 30-pound Lem stuffer here. This is an automatic stuffer, and so 30 pounds easily accommodates 25 pounds of meat when you add the water and all your add-ins. So that's why we went with the 30-pounder. So this is this saves us some time here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to just take our casings. We had these casings soaking while we were doing the final grind. They've probably been in our water here for about 30 minutes. We're just going to squeegee the excess water out. You want to let them, everybody asks, how long do you let them soak? Let them soak until they're pliable. 15 minutes will probably do the trick. They've been in there a little longer. Once you grab an individual casing, what you need to do is get a knot in the end. And so what I'm going to do is line up the tail here with the knot on the end of the casing. And I'm just going to make a simple loop knot. I'm going to pull that loop around and pull it back through and cinch it down. And you can see roughly it's about a little over 1 inch from the actual end of the casing, and you'll understand why I did that after I stuffed this actual casing here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to thread it onto our stuffing horn, and we're going to pull it up to the end. I've got a little foot feed here, and the trick is just to kind of match the speed, the fill as we fill this, and let that casing go along and stuff it to capacity. We're going to stuff this all the way down to the end to about where there's 2 inches left, which is going to give us enough room to tie that other end off and make a nice ring. So that's approximately, it's probably just a hair over 2 inches, but we're close enough. Now on this end, we're going to take that knot and we're going to pull that string through to create a slip. And we're going to stick the other end of the casing through just like that. Pull all of the casing through before you cinch this down. Get that loop down to the end of where the meat stopped. And your string is going to hang up a little bit on that knot. Just kind of walk it over, which is easy to do, and then just walk it down and pull it tight. If you need to pull down a little bit on the casing, you can do that as well. And voila, you've got a nice homemade, do-it-yourself ring bologna. Okay, so from there, what we're going to do is we're going to finish stuffing all 75 pounds, all 3 batches. And then what we like to do is actually put them in the refrigerator overnight to allow those seasonings to marry into that meat. Just let it marinate, soak in, marry, and complete that process to get that robust flavor. If we took these right now and we went out and smoked them, sure, we could do that and rush it. But we just feel like the quality is there when you let them overnight in the refrigerator. And so tomorrow morning we're going to come back. We're going to actually smoke them for a couple hours. We'll walk you through that process. And then we're going to hot water bath them to finish off. And while that's going on, we're going to start day 2 of our skinless wieners that we're going to do tomorrow, 75 pounds of those. So really excited, kind of a 2-day process going on here. And so for now, we're just going to fill these without you watching. You don't need to watch the stuff 75 pounds of meat here. But we're going to finish that off, and we'll be back at you on the flip side tomorrow morning. Alright, welcome back everybody. It is day 2. As you can see from the smoke rolling, it's time to smoke. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover 3 options here that you can take, 3 different avenues to get to the same destination, and that's the table. How do you finish these ring bologna off? I've got a ring here, so I'm going to start with the simplest. If you do not own a smoker, or you feel uncomfortable finishing them off in a hot water bath, which I'll explain in a second, you can take these rings that we've let sit overnight in the refrigerator for those seasonings to marry, and you can go right to your grill or pellet smoker. A high percentage of the population now owns pellet smokers. Remember, these have cure in them, so if you wanted to put your pellet smoker on low, depending on the brand, and go from there, you could literally go right to the vacuum sealer with these, okay? So we've made them, let them sit overnight, now we're in the vacuum sealer. Okay, so that's option 1. Option 2 is obviously the smoker. So what we're going to do today on this particular batch of ring is we're just going to put them in there for a couple hours to get that smoke flavor and that color that we're looking for. And then from there, we're going to finish them off in the hot water bath right here with our turkey cooker. Now back to the smoker. What we've done with this batch is we put them in there. We do have a water pan in our pit boss on the bottom, and we set our smoker at 150 degrees. And that's going to allow those casings to sweat out that moisture. That's what we're looking for, and then that smoke is going to start to suck in. Now, if you were looking to finish the smoke, at that point, after they sweat out, you've had them in there for a couple hours, you're going to run that temperature up to about anywhere from 180 to 200 degrees, depending on the type of smoker that you have. And you're going to have your meat probes in some of your ring bologna, so you get a good cross section of the temps inside the smoker. And you're going to want to take those ring up to about 155 degrees. Even though pork is safe to eat at 145, we recommend driving that temp up somewhere in that 155. If it went to 160, don't panic, you'll be just fine. Okay, back to option 3. What we're going to do is we're going to take, as you're going to see, some of these rings and we're going to hot water bath them. We're going to finish off the ones that come out of the smoker, but we're also going to hot water bath the batch where we set them in here. Now what you don't want to do, and a common mistake with any type of sausage or brat, is people will actually boil them. That's not what you want to do. We're actually going to set the temp around 170 degrees. We've got a thermometer that is going to give us the water temp. And what we're looking to do is just raise the temperature of these rings up to 155, the same as the smoker. But we do not want to boil them and actually what I'm going to call overcook them or fast cook them. We just need to bring them up to temp, because remember, they have cure in them. Once they're up to temp, you could eat them cold. However, most people choose to either reboil them, throw them on the grill, whatever your method is to cook them later on, okay? So again, just to recap, temperature 170 to 180-ish on your water. Bring that internal temp of the actual ring up in that 155 degree range, the same as the smoker. So that's your 3 different methods to finish these off. You can choose the one that works best for you. And so we're going to see on the flip side when we actually start cooking these things. Alright, well, as you can see, we've had a successful smoke, hot water bath, and a combination of the two. And the reason why we did this is we want everybody to know, no matter what equipment you have or don't have, ring bologna is a possibility, along with many of the other products that are featured on the Seasoned Butcher YouTube channel where you're at right now. So the next step, after we bring them out of the water, is we're going to dry them. So we separate the stack within our totes, we let them air dry, which brings the temp down, and then once that's happened where they feel cool to touch, then we're going to take that Lem Max Vac vacuum sealer and we're going to seal them up good and tight for storage in the deep freeze. And so, as you can see, these are 2 of the 3 totes. We've actually got one already in the deep freeze, freezing. And so as you can imagine, this is 75 pounds of venison ring bologna, the finished product. And Charlie and I are already talking about the camping we're going to be doing while we're on some remote bow hunts. And these things are ready to go. We just heat them up in a little bit of water or over a campfire. And we've literally taken this from field to table. And that's what we're all about. So don't forget to take time to taste the tradition, because right here, this is what it's all about, that magical table fare.